level to have a blast at in AAA.
Right.
Regardless of when you're there, early in your career or towards the end of your career or in the middle, it's a real hard level. So thanks for having me, and let's catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Well, that is Glennon Rush. For more on Breaking the Norm, you can go to my website, lesnorman.com. Twitter @lnorman22 is the place to go and see all things Breaking the Norm. So if you want anything, email me, les@lesnorman.com for any comments, suggestions, guests you want to see, regardless of that. But on behalf of former Major League pitcher Glennon Rush, I'm Les Norman. Thanks for joining us on Breaking the Norm.
Love the new car smell, but think the car shopping process stinks? Check out OneRequest.com. Hi, this is Eric Westfall. We started OneRequest in Kansas City to make car shopping easy. We have over 5 million new and used listings. And with OneRequest, you don't share your personal information with sellers until you want to, which means you control your car shopping experience. We even have a concierge service for those who want the VIP treatment. Experience car shopping made easy. Request your car today at OneRequest.com.
OneRequest is not responsible for what you do with all the time you save.
Sports Talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades. Track Talk. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. I'm Kirk Elliott, soloed this hour because Scott Traylor got in late last night. I'll tell you about Scott Traylor's travels here this weekend, and it changed a bit because of the bad weather that's happened all around. We've got a lot of races rained out this weekend. We had too much rain here this weekend that saturated a lot of racetracks. But they got the show in last night at Tri-City Speedway near St. Louis. The Lucas Oil ASCS live on Racing Boys last night. They got that show in. They were supposed to drive to Little Rock after the races last night. That's about a 7-hour drive. But about the middle of yesterday afternoon, they called and said, too wet down here in Little Rock, we can't run. They had 7 inches of rain at I-30 Speedway, and the grounds were too wet. So they didn't have to drive to Little Rock for that long. It's a shame that the event got rained out, but that was going to be a long 7-hour turnaround between St. Louis and Little Rock to get set up for Saturday night. Well, that got rained out, so they thought, after the races last night, we're going to drive back to Kansas City. So Scott and crew got back here at 4:30 this morning. And I just spoke with Scott here just a little bit ago, and he is tired. So he'll join us when he joins us here this morning, but they want to sleep in their own beds last night. I get all that, even though they've got the RV that they could sleep in, pull over when they get tired, which they a lot of times do when they're out on the road. But they made it all the way back here to the Racing Boys World Headquarters, and, lack of sleep. If you get in about 4:30 and probably get to bed about 5 o'clock, you're probably not going to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 8 o'clock to do the show here. So that's okay. I had planned on doing the show solo anyway because of the big trip that was planned between St. Louis and Little Rock, even though that didn't happen. So here we are, and we've got a lot of racing to talk about. Unfortunately, no racing to talk about at Lakeside Speedway, where the USAC National Sprint Cars were supposed to be in action last night and tonight, but too much rain at Lakeside Speedway wiped that event out this weekend. What a bummer. We had planned on talking a lot about that here this morning, but not to be. So that event will not be able to talk about. We've got Ray Cunningham coming up in hour 2 exclusively on Racing Boys to talk all open wheel racing. But later on this hour, we're going to talk NASCAR with Lee Spencer. This is a big weekend for NASCAR. They're at a new racetrack for NASCAR. It's not a new racetrack, period. Formula One's been racing there for several years now, down near Austin, Texas, the Circuit of the Americas, where NASCAR debuts this weekend, and it's a full weekend of all 3 of the top series, the NASCAR Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Camping World Truck Series, all in action this weekend. And not only that, we're going to see practice sessions and we're going to see qualifying, not just the races this weekend, but all the qualifying and practices that we used to have back in the old days before the pandemic. So that's all going down at a new racetrack, and I'm jacked for this. This is new. I used to hate road races in NASCAR, but ever since they brought in the double file restart, that's made road racing a lot more entertaining to watch. And I never thought I would say this, that road racing may be one of the best things NASCAR's got going this year. It's one of the reasons why they have scheduled 7 road races this year. They only used to have 2, but the racing is pretty good, and it's all because of the double file restarts. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens this weekend at a much different road course. You got elevation changes, lots of different turns, and I'm going to be anxious to see how this works out. I kind of feel the same way that I did going into the dirt race at Bristol. We'll see what happens. You know, a lot of hype this weekend. There was a lot of hype for that weekend. They got through the dirt race at Bristol much better than I expected, and we'll see what happens with this new road course circuit down at Texas. They've taken a date away from Texas Motor Speedway to give to this event, even though there are still going to be twice at Texas Motor Speedway. The All-Star race is going to be at Texas here in a few weeks, but I am excited to see how this is all going to work out this weekend with this new road race at Circuit America. So we'll talk with Lee Spencer more about that, more about last weekend's event at Dover, in which we had the 48 car win. It's not Jimmy Johnson driving, it's Alex Bowman driving the car, and it was a 1-2-3-4 finish for Hendrick Motorsports. First time that's happened in a long time. I think it was back in the 2000s when Roush Racing finished in the top 4 positions at Homestead, the season finale back in 2005, I believe it was. And this is the first time that's happened since. And Rick Hendrick, who doesn't attend all of the races, happened to be at Dover last weekend, which is good for that kind of a momentous occasion, where all 4 of his cars swept the top 4 finishes. Looked like Kyle Larson was going to be the man to beat, but he got beat on a pit stop coming out of the last series of pit stops. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just that the 48 team broke off a very fast pit stop and got out in front on a restart. And once he got out, clean air, you know, if you're the leader, clean air is the main factor. So Alex Bowman was able to stay out in front of Kyle Larson all the way to the finish, with Chase Elliott and William Byron finishing 3rd and 4th respectively. And Byron's got quite a streak of top 10 finishes. I think he's finished in the top 10 like 11 times in a row. So we'll see what happens. Chase Elliott has been the road course guru here the last couple of years. He's won like 4 out of the last 5 road course races. So we'll see what happens this weekend down at Circuit of Americas. We got a lot of dirt racing to talk about. Last night, it was a night of race-long leaders not able to close the deal. And most of it wasn't their fault. We'll give you 2 cases in point. The World of Outlaws at Attica Raceway Park last night. Sheldon Haudenschild was coming down for the white flag, and somebody spun out in front of him, and he spun out too. Not able to pull it off. It wasn't his fault. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He couldn't avoid the spun out car. It was a lap car, and he couldn't avoid it. And David Gravel was able to take advantage of that and fight off Donnie Schatz at the finish. Brent Marks coming from 19th starting spot to finish 3rd at Attica Raceway Park, but a tough way to finish for Sheldon Haudenschild, who had all but just a little more than a lap to go to pull it off, but not able to make it happen. And David Gravel coming up with the victory. Also, another race-long leader comes around with quite a few more laps to go than what was at the World of Outlaw race, but the Lucas Oil ASCS event at Tri-City Speedway near St. Louis last night. It was Seth Bergman leading the race almost. There was nobody who's going to catch him. I mean, he was dominating this event. And Dylan Westbrook had a wheel fall off. Something happened right in turn one. He runs right into it. And Seth Bergman gets upside down while leading the race. Unfortunate for him, but good fortune for Scott Boguski, who comes through with the feature victory last night at Tri-City Speedway. He's had his own share of bad luck here in the last few weeks, not able to close out the deal in the previous races at I-96 and also at Selinsgrove here a couple of weeks before that. And Scott Boguski last night was able to take advantage of Seth Bergman's problems and pull off a big victory. We'll hear from him here in just a little bit as we had that race live on Racing Boys last night. The other race long leader that had a problem, this is in dirt late model racing. The Lucas Oil Late Model Series was at 300 Raceway in Farley, Iowa last night, and Kyle Bronson was on his way to victory. Had a restart with 2 laps to go. He had a tire go down while leading the race. Number 40, Kyle Bronson, leading it the whole way, 2 laps to go, had a tire go down. So he wasn't able to pull it off. And then, we had a lot of problems last night at Farley Speedway because the track was rough. There's been rain everywhere. And, it stands to reason that a lot of tracks are going to be a little bit on the rough side. And we had a lot of front ends being folded up and a lot of bent-up sheet metal. But Mike Marlar was able to take advantage of all of that last night and pick up his first victory in the Lucas Oil Late Model Series in quite some time. He's a 2-time Knoxville Nationals champion. So Mike Marlar was able to pull off the win. These guys are going to be at 34 Raceway tonight in West Burlington before heading down to Wheatland next weekend. Lucas Oil Speedway going to be hosting the Show Me 100 next weekend. It all begins with the Cowboy Classic on Thursday night, featuring the Lucas Oil MLRA guys, and then Friday and Saturday night, the Show Me 100. Let's keep our fingers crossed the weather cooperates. It's been 3 years since we've last seen a Show Me 100 on Memorial Weekend. It's traditional date. 2 years ago, we had the big storm that came in, the tornado that destroyed the grandstand for the off-road track down there. They weren't able to hold that event. And then last year's, because of the pandemic, they weren't able to hold the event on Memorial Day weekend. So hopefully, keep our fingers crossed that the weather will cooperate at Lucas Oil Speedway next weekend. We're going to be able to get this event in on its natural Memorial Day weekend next weekend. And all these guys that were at Farley last night, Lucas Oil Late Model Series, will be there, including Tim McCready, who I thought had the fastest race car last night. And he was looking good in his heat race, got a great starting spot outside second row of the A main, and then he had something break on the car. It just immediately turned right up towards the wall up at Farley, Iowa, early in the race, and that was it for him. So I thought Tim McCready really had the fastest car up there at Farley last night. The other big late model race last night was at Port Royal Speedway in Pennsylvania. It was a big race last night at Port Royal, and Smokey Madden comes through, dominates that race at Port Royal Speedway. The other big sprint car race that I want to talk about is the All-Stars. They were at a brand new racetrack, Circle City Raceway in Indianapolis. This track is brand new. They just debuted it last night. And Tyler Courtney, who is from just a few blocks away from that racetrack, just not far away from this new Circle City Raceway, born and bred, Indianapolis, Sunshine, Tyler Courtney picks up his second straight All-Star feature victory last night after a battle with Rico Abreu. Those two guys were going at it last night, and it was Tyler Courtney who was able to pass back after Abreu passed Courtney. Sunshine was able to get him back there with a handful of laps to go and go on to the feature victory last night at Circle City Raceway. So congratulations to him. So it was a strange night last night in terms of race-long leaders not being able to hold it off. And, Todd, you live not far from Lakeside Speedway. It's that's the biggest bummer of the weekend, not able to get this much anticipated two-night USAC National Sprint Car Show in at Lakeside. It's just too wet out there, right?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. We didn't get like rain, like where it comes down in buckets. It's just been constantly wet around here, and it's so saturated. I'm just amazed how much water we actually have. I mean, the ants have moved out of the ground and have starting to take over places. So yeah, there's no way. And being with Lakeside being such a low line area as it is, there's just no way. They're underground and they're not. And like you said, the track, it isn't like it's underwater like in the years past. Everything's just so wet. There's just not much you can do with it. And kind of a bummer because the Thursday night show, there was a lot of people looking forward to going out there on Thursday. I knew weeks in ahead of time people had been talking about this Thursday show and Friday, of course. But man, to lose both nights, that's kind of tough.
Well, actually, Friday and Saturday.
I meant Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant, Friday, Saturday. So that's just tough to lose a weekend event like that. And like you said, if there was any way possible to get it in, they would have. There's just no way. It's just unbelievable.
No. It's after we had Robert Ballou on last week, I was so jacked up for this event. We had a great interview with Robert Ballou.
Exactly.
If you tuned in and listened to that a week ago.
We got that on our premium site.
He's about as exciting a guy to watch as anybody there is. And
that's when I told Adam, I said, I haven't been out to Lakeside all year, but I'm going to go watch Robert Ballou race because it's just worth the price of admission, even if you've got to pay to go watch Robert race, because it's especially at Lakeside. He puts on a show.
I can't remember when I've been so bummed out over something getting rained out.
Kirk called me up and said, "Can you believe
really
this?"
Jacked up for this event.
So yeah, it was a bummer for everybody here locally.
But it is what it is. There's nothing anybody can do about it, and so we'll just move on. Hopefully, we can get them back. It's hard to reschedule these things because USAC's already got a tight schedule. But maybe something can happen that we can get them back in here soon and still watch these non-wing guys go at it at Lakeside Speedway, which is a great race. I tell you, we've seen a lot of non-wing action at Lakeside Speedway over the years. Some of it stands the hair on the back of your neck. We've seen some pretty frightening shows out there.
That's some of the best racing you'll see out there at Lakeside Speedway. You team them up with a good pairing class, and it's worth the price of admission out there for sure.
Buddy Kofoid had another big night last night. He was, I'll tell you what, this kid can wheel a race car. POWRi Midgets, night 1 of 2 of the Eliana race out in Charleston, Illinois last night. Buddy Kofoid was at the back of the pack and charged all the way up to the front to win that midget feature event last night at Charleston, Illinois. This kid is exciting to watch. He was able to pass Dazen Persley at the end. Brian Wiedemann finished in third. Joe B. Miller, who won the micro race last night, finished in fourth. And Emerson Axum fifth, who go at it again tonight out at Charleston, Illinois. So congratulations to Buddy Kofoid for a big victory last night in the POWRi Midgets. He'd been running some wing sprint car racing here the last couple of weeks. He hadn't run all the POWRi races this year, but he showed back up to run the midgets last night, and that seems to be his home. He's turned out to be, right now you'd have to say, Todd, he's probably the best midget driver that's going right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, when Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell's running, that's different. But as far as the regular midget guys, Buddy Kofoid's getting it done.
Yeah, he likes to see that NASCAR season start up because he does dominate when Kyle Larson's not on the ticket. But I don't know if you was to put him in there with any of those guys could win any night. It wouldn't matter if Larson, Bell, and Kofoid's in there. They've all got a good chance to win a race, and he's had a heck of a season. You're right.
They had a POWRi War non-wing sprint car race as part of the program at Charleston, Illinois last night, and Mario Klauser comes through with the feature victory over Garrett Aitken, Shane Cottle, Wesley Smith, and Zach Dahm, rounding out the top 5 at Charleston, Illinois last night. They'll be a part of that show again tonight out at the Charleston, Illinois racetrack tonight. But it's just, it's kind of hit and miss as far as who's too wet to run and who's not. The racetracks have been it's been a challenge for these track operators to keep them going because there's just not been that many sunny days for things to dry out and really work these racetracks.
Poor Valley Speedway. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They had to get that pumped out. I don't know how much luckily for them, they've went through this before as is Lakeside Speedway, but man, a lot of water at Valley.
Well, what are you going to do? You live right by a river.
And you're such.
I mean, the track's right by a river.
Can't do much about it. You just play with the cards they've dealt you, Kirk. And this has just been one of those weird years where we just had every week. I mean, we're looking at 10 days in a row here locally in Kansas City. We're going to be at rain, so that just doesn't happen, every year. So mark it off as a fluke, and let's get in the middle of summer. We'll probably be wishing we had this rain in the middle of summer.
Yeah, it's just going to dry out at some point. There's no doubt about that. One other cool thing happened last night. Did you catch this, Todd? That we had a marriage proposal by a race car driver at Attica Raceway Park last night. The World of Outlaws race.
Cool.
Trey Jacobs proposed. They come out to the front of the straightaway to draw for the dash lineup on the World of Outlaws. So these drivers are out on the front straightaway getting ready to draw for who starts where in the dash that determines the first 3 rows of the A main. Trey Jacobs kneels down and proposes marriage right out in front of everybody.
How about that?
She said yes. Then he reaches in to draw the pill, number 1.
How about that?
He draws the number 1 to start on the pole of the dash last night. But he got a rude awakening as the dash came about because the World of Outlaw regulars passed him by, and he ends up 6th in the dash. But he made the dash, and he was able to draw the pill after she said yes to his marriage proposal, and he draws the number 1. How about that?
That's a pretty good night, right? Everything you'll be able to remember that one. And how about the luck of the draw on that? Now there must be something else. You don't just go walk up and pull out pill number 1 like that. So that's pretty cool. How about that? Marriage proposal right before the race starts.
That's awesome. Hey, when we come back, we're going to hear from Scott Boguski, the feature winner last night at Tri-City Speedway, and we'll talk more racing when we come back. You're listening to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Well, it's wedding season, and that means it's also popping the question season. This is Gene from House of Diamonds. Guys, you might be asking her one question, but you're also making 2 statements. The first is said with a one-of-a-kind engagement ring that tells her she is the only person, a one-of-a-kind treasure that you want to spend the rest of your life with. The second statement reminds her how smart she is for saying yes, because you got her ring at House of Diamonds. Now, she probably already knows this, but we reject over 95% of the diamonds our diamond dealers present to us. You choose from only the top 5% in each grade. And our custom engagement rings are designed and built just for her 100% right here in our shop. It never leaves here until it leaves with you. Don't just pop the question. Make a statement at House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira and online at mybigrock.com.
Hi, Royals fans. This is Dayton Moore. The very same experts who treat the Royals can treat you too. Whether you're into sports or into your kids, you can count on the specialists at the University of Kansas Health System Sports Medicine and Performance Center. From injury prevention to sports performance to leading-edge treatments, they'll keep you at the top of your game. Whatever it may be, you deserve the Royals treatment. For an appointment, visit royalstreatment.com.
You can keep your grass green and lush all year long with a new sprinkler system from Summit Lawn and Landscape. Call Summit Lawn and Landscape today at 816-966-9434 to design a water-efficient system for your home and never drag a hose again. 816-966-9434. Summit Lawn and Landscape provides complete lawn maintenance, including mowing, fertilization, and landscape installation, maintenance, and design. Call 816-966-9434 or go to summitlawn.com.
Hey, KC, if you've been waiting for a Memorial Day sales event to find your next car, truck, or SUV, then the first annual Memorial Day event at Main Street Cadillac Buick GMC is the place to be. There's too many deals to mention here, but we'll give you a taste. 25% or $6,500 off on a new 2021 Buick Encore. Looking for new with the price of used? Our certified pre-owns are priced right. Check them out online along with our Memorial Day deals at MainStreetKCAuto.com.
Bamboo Penny's, the exciting new chef-driven restaurant featuring the culinary wizardry of Thai chef Penny Mafuka, is opening soon. And here's Chef Penny to tell you more.
I have dedicated 25 years to preparing and sharing my food. Bamboo Penny will bring my recipes to life. Fresh and new way for you to enjoy with friends and family.
Bamboo Penny's opening soon in Park Place, Leawood. For more information, go to bamboopennies.com.
It's graduation time, and Joe's Kansas City Barbecue can cater your graduation feast for any size party. Get the best ribs, world-famous burnt ends, and all their signature sides, or order your favorite meat by the pound and make sandwiches for the grad on the go. Make sure and get your orders in early by going to joeskc.com, and their team will make sure you have the perfect package for your graduation celebration needs. Joe's Kansas City Barbecue has 3 great locations: Olathe at 119th and Stringline Road, Leawood 119th and Row, and the original in the gas station at 43rd and Mission.
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Track Talk.
Welcome back. You're listening to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. I'm Kirk Elliott, sitting in the captain's chair this week. Scott Traylor, busy weekend schedule. Supposed to be at Little Rock's I-30 Speedway tonight, but too wet to run there, so they drove back from Tri-City Speedway last night, got in about 4:30 this morning, and none the worse for wear driving that big RV. So hopefully he'll join us, hour 2, exclusively on RacingBoys.com. He don't have far to go, as he lives right here at Racing Boys World Headquarters. So all he's got to do is just come on down and join the fun. So whenever that is, I don't know, but in the meantime, we'll have Lee Spencer coming on here in just a little while, and she's got a lot to talk about with NASCAR, the big road race weekend at Circuit of Americas down in Texas this weekend, so all excited about that. And she's also a big sprint car fan, open-wheel dirt fan, so we got a lot to talk about there, too. So Sheldon's Hodden Shields problems last night, not being able to get to the finish line, that wasn't his fault. We'll talk about that and more coming up here in just a few minutes. Scott Boguski wins the Lucas Oil ASCS feature event at Tri-City Speedway last night after Seth Bergman also got in, had problems with a slowed car on the racetrack. It wasn't a lap car. It just stopped on the racetrack, and Bergman ran into him and got upside down. But Scott Boguski was able to take advantage of all that, and Scotty Cook spoke with Scott Boguski and Victory Circle after his first win of the year last night.
Yeah, no, Seth ran a good race. Like I said, he was good early. To be real honest, about first 5 laps, I thought we were in a world of trouble. I was really, really, really tight. On the first yellow, I could see Anthony laughing, so he knew I had a handful. But like I said, as it got going, it's unlucky, but it's happened to me. It's happened to him before. It's going to happen to us again. It's racing. But yeah, tonight, we were good, but we also got lucky, and you got to have everything on your side to get where we're standing. So, like I said, I can't thank everyone that's behind us.
I know that he stumbled out of the gate a little bit slow for the 2021 season. Thrilled to be able to get the ball rolling. This will put you in the mix of things.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's been an ass kicking. We led at Knoxville and had a $20 part let us down and run second to Selinsgrove and blew a tire. And then, I completely stepped on it in Michigan, crashing a tire like an idiot. But, Scotty McDonald, he's one of my longtime supporters and one of my best friends. He said to me, he's like, I'd rather hear you complain about luck than speed. Speed's what's hard to find, and you've got it everywhere. So we're just going to keep the ball rolling.
And if you didn't recognize the accent, Scott Boguski, yes, that's right. He's from Australia. How about that? Aussie Scotty Boguski coming up with he's had some terrible luck here the last few weekends, and so it was kind of fun to see him still take the win. Not so good for Seth Bergman last night, though, but, that's the way it goes. So if you're Seth Bergman, Kyle Bronson, and Sheldon Hodenshield this morning, you're waking up. They're probably not up yet, but when they do wake up, they'll have this terrible feeling about what might have been last night, all three of those drivers. So that is what it is.
Hard pill to swallow sometimes, but that's racing, boys. That's how it works sometimes.
Hey, the Indianapolis 500's coming up a week from Sunday. We have qualifying today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How about that?
Already back to Indy again. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Feels like we're just there.
Well, Indianapolis 500 is going to happen when it should happen,
That's
Memorial
right.
Week. Last year it was in August.
That's right. It just feels strange. We had back-to-back Masters. Remember, we had an early Masters and a late Masters.
Had a Masters in November.
And now here we are back at Indy. Yeah. I love the Indy. It's one of my favorite weeks to watch racing.
The Masters belongs in April, and the Indy 500 belongs in May.
That's right.
And they're both, we got the Masters in April, and now here it is May, and it looks like we're going to get the Indy 500 in when it's supposed to be. And the crowd, it's they're going to have a big crowd at Indy. I think they still had a limit, but they're still going to have over 100,000 people there.
I was going to say they put a limit, but it's still a big crowd, right? I mean, so I can't imagine. I don't know. When this thing gets let go, Kirk, it's going to really let go. I can't imagine what the infield of Indy's going to be like. So.
It's going to be crazy. How about if it's anything like the Kentucky Derby?
That's what I'm saying.
Those people really partying there when they had that here a couple weeks ago.
And people who just dying to party. I mean,
they're just people's got these pin-up emotions. I can't wait to get out and get life back to normal.
These concerts and all this stuff that's happened. See, the race people haven't really, we've been running even through this pandemic here and there. The only certain, West Coast and. So, even though some of the fans, but the actual go to movies and events like this, it's getting ready to blow out, Kirk. It's getting ready to happen, man.
Yeah, it seems like the music business is the last to get really things back up and going again, right?
Yeah, it costs so much to get that music, to be able to tour, to actually make money for those guys. It just isn't worth it for them to go out on the road and try to tour when you can only play them. I could see doing a Vegas thing to where you maybe stay in a town for a week and play. Maybe I'll do that. But right now it'll probably be. I think they just canceled. They just postponed the big thing out at Royal Stadium. We had the big rock concert was going to be out. Def Leppard, Joan Jett.
When was that supposed to be?
July 20-something of this year. So it's just been moved back to 2022. Motley Crue. So and it's at Royal Stadium and. So they postponed it until next year. So some events are going. There was a couple concerts last night. I saw some people streaming from out of other states, and I've got a few friends that play music, and they're doing some events now. And some clinics are starting to go on, music clinics. So it's starting to happen. By the end of this year, Kirk, you'll probably start seeing a whole lot more normalcy, and next year we'll be back to normal, man.
I see where Garth Brooks has scheduled a stadium concert at the University of Nebraska Stadium in Lincoln. That's coming up in August. So, we're starting to see that coming back, but the music business seems to be the last. But in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there's still going to be a huge crowd. There is still a limit on what they're going to put in, but it's like 120-some thousand, something like that. Which is a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. I mean, it's a big place. If you've ever been there, I mean, watching on TV, I can describe it how big it is. Until you've been actually in the facility.
Yeah, unless you've been there, you don't really realize.
It's just monster.
The front straightaway grandstand is a mile long.
Yeah, I've done go out there and take that tour. Take the little bus tour that drives you around the track. They let you.
Yeah.
They drive and. It's amazing how big, it takes quite a while to drive around that track at 10 miles an hour, Kurt.
Well, I've been to a couple of Indianapolis 500s, and you can't describe what that's like.
And then Helio, my favorite driver, Helio Castroneves, is still going to be racing. So I see he's
three-time Indy 500 winner.
Yes, he's racing the number 6 car. So I'm looking forward to that.
So who's not a fan of Helio?
Gotta love Helio Castro.
Scott Dixon has been the fastest driver in Indy, 223 miles an hour.
How fast is that, man?
So he's been slipping off. We'll see how the qualifying goes today and tomorrow as the 33 drivers get set up for the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500. When we come back, we're going to talk with Lee Spencer. She's our own reporter for NASCAR. She writes great stuff on the Scoop page on racingboys.com. It's linked up right now, and she's going to be all over this weekend down at Circuit of Americas, and we'll talk to her about all things NASCAR and all things dirt racing, too, when we come back here on Track Talk, here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk.
Attention men, over half of you will suffer from erectile dysfunction. There is a solution, the Kansas City Men's Clinic. If you're having trouble getting or maintaining an erection, or both, and regardless of age, medical condition, or performance issue, they can help. Call the Kansas City Men's Clinic today and receive a confidential consultation and all testing for only $49. Call 816-608-8189. That's 816-608-8189. Or go to thekansascitymensclinic.com.
Family Leisure is having our Factory Direct sale. Looking forward to spring for patio furniture or a new hot tub? Family Leisure has factory incentives going on now. Do you want to start a new career? Family Leisure is growing and wants you to join our championship family. If you want to be the best, come join the best at Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Now hiring for sales, service, warehouse, Bobcat operators, and more. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome! Reed Buick GMC knows that you don't have all day to buy your next vehicle. Hi, this is Trevin Reed. That's why Reed Buick GMC is perfecting the 90-minute car buying process. You complete most of the process from your home or office. When you arrive, you can inspect your vehicle, complete your paperwork, and receive a thorough tutorial on all your vehicle's features. No back and forths, no headaches. Go to reedbuickgmc.com or call 816-436-6300 to get started. Reed Buick GMC is values driven.
Don't be that guy this summer. You know, the guy with the T-shirt on in the pool. You can still be slimmer for this summer since it only takes 40 days to lose 20 to 40-plus pounds with NJ Diet. NJ Diet's contractually guaranteed program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva, and blood work. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet plan and workout regimen to help you keep it off for the rest of your life. Not sure if you can do it alone?
30.
NJ Diet is with you every step of the way. You're fully monitored by their certified staff to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. You'll also get the doctor's personal email and phone number. It's all natural. No shots, no hormones, and no surgery. With offices close by in Overland Park or available from home with live online video consultations. Visit njdiet.com or call 855-5NJ-DIET. Go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good. That's njdiet.com.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Track Talk.
Welcome back. We're here every Saturday morning, as we've been for the last 22 years, 21 years for me. Scott was here before that, and Scott will be joining us a little bit later on as they got in about 4:30 this morning from Tri-City Speedway, and not quite up to it yet, but he'll be joining us if you are here for our second hour, which we don't have here on Sports Radio 810. It's exclusively on racingboys.com. Go to racingboys.com. We're streaming right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We got it all going this morning. So there's lots of ways that you can join us here each and every Saturday morning as we talk racing. Sometimes kind of hard to get a hold of the drivers this early in the morning, but so if you're Robert Ballou, who was here with us a week ago, he was great. I think Brian Brown is another driver that gets up early. So we like those drivers who are not afraid to get up early on a Saturday morning. Most don't. Most don't like to get up early.
It's tough to get up early. Brian Brown knows how to take care of his sponsors, and Robert Blue, he was up ready to roll. That's for sure.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed,
just like our Lee Spencer is.
We're just disappointed we didn't get to see him run out here at Lakeside Speedway last night because of the wet grounds out here. And Lee, if you're joining, I've never been so bummed out about a rained-out event as this Lakeside two-night show. Wiped out due to wet grounds. I was really looking forward to the non-wing sprint cars at Lakeside. Not to be.
I'd take any racing anywhere. So, we watched 2 shows last night. We watched the Circle City race with the All-Stars. We watched the World of Outlaws. Kind of wish I had watched the Buddy Kofoid show. My gosh.
Yeah, he did it again.
Oh, my goodness. To come from the back to do what he did, I thought that was spectacular when I was reading the race report, and I'm going to have to go find that because it sounded like he just gave it everything he got and surprised Jason Pursley there at the end.
He did.
So, plenty to choose from. Right now, I am trying to find practice for the trucks. Apparently, it's raining in Austin, and they're slipping and sliding all over the place. So, that's going to be fun and games today, I think. They were somebody, what did they call it? They called it Darling Dega when the truckers all piled up in that huge wreck at Darlington. Darling Dega, I like that. But, it's the Cup guys were having practice today. They've got 3 sets of tires to run practice, but heck, how much are you going to get done when it takes 7 minutes to get around that racetrack? I've been on that racetrack. I've run that racetrack. When you're uncomfortable on that racetrack, it seems like the longest damn lap of your life. Fortunately, when I ran there, I was in a McLaren production car, so I could get it to about 150 miles an hour down the front stretch, I guess they don't call it front stretch on a road course, but on the long chutes, that thing could really haul the mail. And I'm really curious to see in the Truck Series, in the Xfinity Series, and in the Cup Series what it looks like on restarts or when they drop the green going up into turn 1 into that tight hairpin, and seeing who survives, because it will be survival of the guy who's got the biggest pair.
Since we've been so short of on-track activity outside of the races themselves here over the last year, this is like a normal weekend before the pandemic where we got practice and qualifying. Shouldn't every lap of the trucks and the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series and practice and qualifying, should that be on live TV here this weekend? And is the trucks practice, why is that on live TV? Anything that's on the track should be live this weekend.
I'm really shocked because I was, maybe, Todd behind the scenes has answers to where I'm going to find this, because the Spencer household has finally, I'm working an extra job so we can get a bigger TV that's a smart TV so we can cast one more thing in here and have 3 screens and be able to figure out how we watch everything at one time, because yesterday with the 2 A-mains going at the same time with the All-Stars and World of Outlaws, that was difficult. But right now I'm looking at FS1, which would usually carry that. They've got the Bassmasters Fishing Elite show series on, so You know what I did last night on those 2 sprint car races you're talking about? Well, you got a hell of a setup with the Racing Boys.
Well, here you can do this too. What I did last night is I focused in on the World of Outlaws. Of course, I have the Lucas Oil ASCS going and Power Eye and a lot of other things going on. But I waited and watched the All-Star race after everything was over with, and just punched up the replay on the Flow Racing and watched it as though it were live after the other races were over.
That was probably pretty smart of you, Kirk, but you also have to remember that we are a full-service sports household here at Spencer Manor, right? Yeah. And so we had the Cardinals getting their butts kicked by the Cubs. We had the Blues, struggling against the Avalanche again.
Did they lose again last night? I'm a Blues fan, just like you are. Did they lose again last night?
I fell asleep before it was over.
Oh,
I have to admit, I was nodding pretty bad. I don't know why. My sleep schedule has been off this week, and it's. I made it through the 2 races. Did not make it through the end of the hockey game, and
so we don't know
working
yet.
On a.
We'll find out.
I've been trying to finish this story that I've been working on because I find it very fascinating. I won't say he's making excuses, but they had Chris Gabehart on the Toyota Zoom this week, and he's a really fascinating guy because he's a former racer. He's a 3rd-generation racer, but at the same time, he's dealing with Denny Hamlin. And Denny Hamlin, once you start peeling away the layers, I mean, he's like an onion, right? I mean, it's trying to be a Cup driver, trying to be a team owner, trying to be a dad. It's like he's got a full plate, and it's like, I'm starting to think something's suffering from all this, all the responsibilities he has on the table. And so I wanted to get Gabehart's point of view, and so I've been digging into that all week and just trying to, come up with the premise to figure out what's going on there and why that team hasn't won. And now you can tell by hearing what he had to say and how many times he mentioned it that Team Hendrick is certainly, taking its toll on them, if not, physically on the track, then, taking up real estate in their heads. So it's an interesting problem to have when you have a race team that's that good and you can't win races. And a place like COTA is certainly somewhere where Denny Hamlin could get it done this weekend. But, Chase Elliott, my gosh, the guy's won 5 times on road courses. This schedule with 7 road courses on it is custom made for him. No, he didn't win the road course at Daytona, but my gosh, he's been competitive, on road courses, and when he hasn't won. And he's just, I don't know. It's hard to bet against him this weekend at COTA.
Who would have imagined? Here we are a week before Memorial Weekend, and the defending champion and the guys who won the most races last year, we're talking about Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin, defending champion Chase Elliott, still looking for their first win. I don't think anybody could have imagined that.
And how many weeks have we been talking about this? I mean, it's not just, this isn't the first week it's happened, right? I mean, this is like an ongoing theme this year. And, that's why I was really interested in what Gabehart had to say, because I think he's a really pragmatic dude. And I think he's really matured dramatically from the first time I encountered him, and it wasn't under the best circumstances. It was at the Snowball Derby at Five Flags Speedway. Christopher Bell had taken the checker flag, and anybody who knows anything about Five Flags knows that their inspection process there, they go over those cars with a fine-tooth comb, and if there is anything amiss, they have no problems. Unlike NASCAR, they have no problems taking the wins away, right? And so that was kind of the first time I encountered Mr. Gabehart, but I have come to really have a lot of respect for him. He's got a degree in mechanical engineering from Purdue, first one in his family to graduate from college. Any guy that does that, it's because I can appreciate that, right? But it's like you said, we're 13 races into the season right now, and Denny Hamlin's still looking for that win. Kevin Harvick still looking for that win. Chase Elliott still looking for that win. And I wouldn't have expected Bowman to be the first Hendrick guy with 2 W's, right? I mean, to me, that's just mind-blowing that happened. I'm happy for him, don't get me wrong. Bowman's a big car guy, big supporter of dirt, and he just, he's great to have around. He's great for quotes. He understands cars. He did a lot of testing for Hendrick, ran the Wheel Force car for Chevrolet. Great guy. So I'm glad to see super things happening for him. But, between him being the first one at Hendrick to win 2 races and then William Byron having 11 straight top 10 finishes, it's like, you thought the pandemic was over, but things are still kind of crazy in NASCAR land.
I don't want to take anything away from Alex Bowman last week. He did a great job. But you got to credit his pit crew for getting him that win last week. That was an awesome pit stop that they had right there at the end.
Fastest pit stop of the season. And so that enabled him to get ahead of Kyle Larson. And, Larson, my gosh, how many races has he thrown away this year? How many times has he been that close? I mean, they should have, he should probably have like 4 trophies on his trophy case. And so the fact that they are, struggling to close the deal, I guess it's a good problem to have, right? I guess Rick Hendrick can't be too upset when his cars finish 1, 2, 3, 4. And even though Larson led the most laps and won the first 2 stages, he still had a second place finish. He still had a podium finish. So
I can't really blame the last 2 second place finishes on Kyle. The one in Kansas, that's a different story. He should have won that race. There's no doubt about that. But
don't forget, Denny got into the wall, right?
Yes.
I mean, they gave that race away to Kyle Busch. So it's you're right. You're absolutely right.
I mean, Larson's crew didn't have a bad pit stop. The Bowman team was just better. And once they get out front in that clean air, it's done. It's over. And that's the other thing, and I think I talked about this a little bit on Scotty and Scotty's deal this past week, was you wouldn't expect Dover to be that much of an aero-sensitive track, but man, the guy out front could check out, and you saw Larson. He was searching every line, every inch of that, the concrete monster, to try to find a way to get to Bowman, and he cut it down to within a fraction of a second, and still couldn't. He didn't have enough. I mean, because think about it. Even though these cars are not set up identically, because you have to cater to what the driver's needs are. But looking at it from the standpoint of having the most raw talent in Kyle Larson and going against Bowman, who's he's a formidable driver. He wouldn't have 2 wins this year in the Cup Series if he wasn't. But Larson, on talent alone, should win, right? But the cars are just that close that, it is what it is. Was it 25 second place finishes in his career now? I mean, that's pretty incredible if you think about it. I mean, he hasn't closed the deal on a lot of them, but 25 second place finishes. He got 7 win? How many total wins does Kyle Larson have now? 7, 8?
I can pull that up real quick.
Look that up there. But, I mean, he's still, now he's in good equipment. He's in great equipment now. So the wins are going to come.
That was where I was kind of going with that, Kurt, was the fact that, he has 7 wins. You were spot on. I couldn't remember if this was number 8 or number 7.
7.
But second place is understandable when you're at Ganassi Racing, because let's face it, Ganassi Racing is certainly not on the same plane as Hendrick Motorsports, right? Second place finishes at Hendrick Motorsports over time are not going to be acceptable, and that team is going to have to find ways to win. We cannot, always blame it on the pit crew. We cannot always blame it on the cars. At some point, and I'm sure Kyle will take responsibility for it, because he's taken responsibility for it before on the dirt side. But at some point he is going to have to close the deal in the same way that they call Kevin Harvick the closer for a reason, right? You can definitely tell there's a difference between Kevin and every other driver. No offense to the other 3 over at Stewart-Haas Racing, but there hasn't been a driver of Kevin Harvick's caliber underneath their roof since Kurt Busch left. And, Chase Briscoe will probably get there, and Cole Custer, bless his heart, he won a Cup race last year at Kansas Speedway. But I think over time, Harvick
he won at Kentucky, didn't he?
He won at Kentucky,
yeah.
He did. But, you know, I think over time, you know, if you're at Hendrick Motorsports and everybody's winning and everybody's running in the top 5, you're going to have to distinguish yourself by winning.
Rick Hendrick doesn't appear at all of the races anymore, but he happened to be at Dover last weekend. How cool was that, to watch all 4 of these cars finish 1, 2, 3, 4 at his age?
For the first time,
right. At his age, I mean, you know, that was pretty cool to see that.
You say at his age, he's not much older than my husband's, Kirk, so you better watch it. But, you know, it's
I didn't say what the age was. I didn't say that.
I just got to look for a grimace from my husband. But anyway.
No, I'm just saying how long Rick Hendrick's been around.
No, I mean, he picked the right week to come because when you look at it from the standpoint of all the things that company has accomplished over the years, and to think that they're one win away, and that could happen this weekend with Chase Elliott, right? They're one win away from tying Petty Enterprises for most wins ever. You know, with 260, they need 268. And so
3 minutes.
You know, when you think about all the years and, you know, I mean, decades really. I mean, he's been running Cup cars now for 38 seasons. So when you think about it from that standpoint, and in all that time, he's never seen his cars go 1, 2, 3, 4 with the caliber of drivers that he's had over the years. That's pretty amazing. But I have to say, with an average age of 26 among the 4 drivers that he has now, he has never had so much blue sky ahead of him with this latest stable of drivers.
How much of a factor is Chad Knaus in his new role, that all 4 of these teams are running equally well?
It's funny that you say that, because I asked William Byron about that the other day on Zoom, because you know, we kind of talked about that with Scott and Scotty, the fact that he can now you know, be the helicopter parent who looks over all 4 teams and doesn't have to be proprietary with his information as he was on the 48 is a boon for the other 3 teams, and I think we're seeing that.
Quickly, it's qualifying weekend at Indianapolis. Your thoughts about what to expect for the 105th running of the Indy 500 next weekend?
I think Dixon looks pretty damn sporty. You know, I would never count out Team Penske, but, you know, Scott Dixon really looks in you know, top form, and it would not surprise me at all if you know, he goes out there and finishes. I'm going to be excited to see what happens with qualifying, and you know, like I said, I need another TV because I can't keep up with everything, and especially now the PGA Championship's going on today too, and Kiowa, and so that's just one more thing that we have to find another computer for.
That's it. Well, we got TVs all around here, so
you're spoiled, Kurt.
You need to come to Kansas City and join us in person here. We've got it all set up for you.
You're raring and ready to go.
That's right. Lee, thanks so much. I appreciate it. What's coming up on Race and Scoop page? You got posting stories this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to put up the Gabehart piece very shortly, and then you know, talk about what, you know, William Byron. I mean, to me, if there's one driver you know, who's been the biggest and best surprise this year, it would be William. I think on the, you know, negative surprise scale, you would have Chase Elliott being the champion and not winning yet. But, you know, William Byron, what he's had to say and his intimate knowledge of Chad Knaus, I think is really good story going into COTA.
Thanks so much. Great job, Lee. Appreciate it. Talk
Take
to
care,
you again.
gentlemen.
You bet. Lee Spencer,
Thanks,
racingboys.com. Read all our stuff on the Scoop page. Thanks for joining us this morning. Hour 2 exclusively on racingboys.com and all the social networks. Thanks to Blake Schneiders, Todd Surprise, Adam Bartling, for Scott Traylor. I'm Kirk Elliott. We'll do it again next Saturday morning here on Sports Radio 810.
Hey, KC, if you've been waiting for a Memorial Day sales event to find your next car, truck, or SUV,
Good job, guys. Good show.
Thanks. Memorial Day event at Main Street Cadillac Buick GMC
Y'all have a good one.
is
All right,
the
you too.
place to be. There's too many deals to mention.
Of components.
Taking care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Jared Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other ad specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Alumatech Products is the premier aluminum cabinet company as well as custom aluminum trailer manufacturer. They specialize in custom cabinetry and production units. All the cabinets are built in-house by exceptional craftsmen. Alumatech Products also offer truck caps that are built from the ground up, starting with a framework all the way to a complete build. The folks at Alumatech are driven to produce quality, long-lasting products through innovative design to best suit you. For more information, go to alumatechproducts.com.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum here in Knoxville. We are at it again with another Win a Z51Corvette.com sweepstakes, and this flash contest I think you're going to be super excited about. When you go to winaz51corvette.com and enter the code NEON25, not only will you receive 25% more tickets, but you'll be entered for a chance to win this exceptionally huge neon Corvette sign, and it'll look great in either your garage or your man cave or even your living room. And you'll still be in the running to win this 2021 Elkhart Lake Blue Metallic Z51 Corvette, which we will be drawing for Saturday, August 14th. As you can see, our WinAZ51Corvette.com 2021 Z51 Corvette has just arrived here at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, and it is beautiful. The Z51 is the top-of-the-line 3LT package and comes with all the extras. So visit us at WinAZ51Corvette.com and enter the code NEON25 to receive 25% more tickets and be entered to win the beautiful neon Corvette sign, which we will be drawing for on Memorial Day. And you'll still be entered to win this gorgeous 2021 Elkhart Lake Blue Metallic Z51 Corvette. Good luck, and we'll see you at WinAZ51Corvette.com.
We not only look to the future, we design it. Our excellence and professionalism in craftsmanship, quality, and safety is unmatched in the industry. We are proud suppliers to some of the most elite race teams in the world. We build it, you drive it. We are here to help you win.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and if you're not listening to the Racing Boys, then you've got some sort of head problems. You gotta listen to the Racing Boys. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
And welcome back. Hour number 2 exclusively here on RacingBoys.com. And last week was the first time we started streaming on YouTube. So we've got 3 different social networks now. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And right here on Racing Boys. So we got them all covered here this weekend and last weekend and going forward. We're going to be shooting it out as many places as we possibly can here. I'm flying solo here for a little while this morning. Hopefully Scott will be joining us here in just a little while. They got in very late last night from Tri-City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois, where they ran the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series. And they got out of there. I know the race, I didn't see the stream shut down until after 11 o'clock last night, and they still had to tear down and 4.5 hours in that motorhome to get back here, and it was 4:30 when they rolled in. So when I called Scott at about 10 minutes to 8 this morning, he sounded very groggy. I knew that he wasn't ready to do a show at that time.
Yeah.
Maybe in the second hour, he said.
I got a text at 4:35, which I had woke up at 4:15, and
you wanted to get him a sandwich?
And he said at 4:35. He said, "I'll be there," and I thought, "Are you kidding me? He's not going to be awake."
Hey, that warm breakfast you brought him, it's not so warm
Not so
anymore.
warm.
You need to put that in he'll need to put that in a microwave to eat it. So hopefully Scott will join us here. I hadn't planned on having Scott on the show this morning anyway.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to drive from Tri-City Speedway to Little Rock for tonight's show. That's about 7 hours. So I said, don't worry about Saturday. You got enough on your hands just getting from one place to the next. So he wasn't planning on being on the show this morning anyway because of that big turnaround. But then when they called and said that the I-30 event had been rained out, about the middle of yesterday afternoon. I thought, hey, you're going to be on the show anyway. He said, yep, I'm going to be on the show anyway. Then he decided, I'm going to drive all the way back to Kansas City last night. And I said, you don't have to do that.
Man.
You got a motorhome. You can pull over and stop.
Sleep anywhere you want.
Yeah, and still do the show. But
we got
they wanted to sleep in their own beds last night.
We got a full house here today.
Yeah, we got
everybody's here.
All the spare bedrooms are being used as a crew for. That's not in Little Rock; they're in Kansas City because
parking lot
got rained out.
Parking lot is full at the Racing Boys studio.
Speaking of wet grounds, as we told you in the last hour, the non-wing sprint car show, USAC Sprints, scheduled for Lakeside this weekend, wiped out, and we just see word that I-35 Speedway has been called off for tonight. Canceled due to wet grounds. Says Mother Nature's provided plenty of saturation this week without drying time.
That's not surprising. Even with the facility, with the parking as well as it is out there, what are you going to do when it's this wet, Kirk? You just can't. There's nothing.
Well, there's just nothing you can do. I mean, it's hard to prep the tracks. I mean, we saw a perfect example of that last night up at Farley, Iowa, 300 Raceway, where the Lucas Oil late model series was in action last night. A rough racetrack, and it took its toll on front noses of those race cars last night. I think Jimmy Owens wadded it up, looked like a stub-nosed car when he finished up with it, and parts and pieces breaking off the cars was rough. You can't blame the track operator; just haven't had time to work these racetracks, and it's been wet everywhere.
Yeah, that, like you said, can't work a track. We haven't had a day where there's a sun. Yesterday was a surprise to some of us around here. The sun popped out for the end of the day yesterday, and it got kind of humid out, but it wasn't enough to dry anything. I mean, we've had graduations all week, around here, and everybody's either postponing them or doing them in the rain, and everything's outside because of the COVID restrictions and stuff, and so you're dodging the rain. And this year, obviously, it isn't just the racing thing. Everybody's has been hit with this rain, and graduation's no different. I know my next door neighbor's got a party going on today, and he was hoping he was going to get to mow his grass at some point because he's having an outdoor party for his kid graduating, and he got a couple-hour window to mow his grass, but the grass was so wet that it's just unbelievable. So yeah, like you said, when you're dealing with this amount of rain, just like with the USAC sprint race being right out Lakeside, it's May and it's Kansas City. We just don't expect it to be raining every weekend and then every day. We had not one day where the sun would come out and give us a break. So it is what it is, and let's get through this, and maybe next week we'll have some sunshine coming in.
Yeah, if we hear of any other rainouts, we'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll pass them on.
The I-35 is the only one that we've seen. You said Valley. I haven't checked.
Valley's
probably not going to.
I seriously doubt. They were still pumping out yesterday, but we can check on that as well. We got Ray Cunningham as well.
Here we go. Ray Cunningham joining us. And Ray, I've never been so bummed about a rainout as we are this weekend. Wow, that was disappointing to have that rain come in and wash out the weekend. We were looking so forward to this weekend.
Yeah, I was listening to you in the first hour, and I couldn't agree more. We were so jacked up at the USAC MWRA, that I've been working with to have the national group and the Oklahoma boys all coming to Lakeside. I mean, we were going to have 40 to 50 cars. It was going to be the biggest non-wing sprint car race in this area in many years, Kirk.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the history of non-wing sprint car racing at Lakeside Speedway goes back quite, especially the new track when Mark Olson, he was a big non-wing sprint car fan when he ran that racetrack and scheduled some pretty memorable non-wing shows, especially after the Knoxville Nationals that used to have the event there, and it got pretty hairy, too. I mean, the non-wing sprint cars at Lakeside Speedway's got quite a history, doesn't it?
It does, whether it's the old track. In fact, you bring that up, the very first race ever held at the old Lakeside Stadium was the AAA sprint cars in 1955. That is just before, obviously, USAC took over due to the deaths of drivers like Bill Vukovich, and AAA pulled the plug. Then Tony Holman came in and, of course, started USAC. But that first AAA race, won by Pat O'Connor back in April in 1955, I've heard that was quite the to-do in itself. But then later on, obviously, we have USAC sprint cars for several different occasions at both Old and New Lakeside. And I was also fired up for this particular event because it had been since 1968 that a local had won against USAC competition at Lakeside. On that occasion, it was Carl Williams, a great USAC veteran from Independence. And the year before that, it was Greg Weld, the year he won the national title. But, you know, we've got a lot better group of drivers overall than we've had in a while driving non-wing sprint cars out of this area. And we've seen that through the results, both locally, but also when they've raced nationally and with other series. Drivers like Wyatt Burks and Wesley Smith and Corey Schutte. We got a new up-and-comer, Xavier Doney. We just have a whole group of drivers. Riley Kreisel, look at the job he's done. He's only 21. Most of these guys are very young. Cody Baker, what a rebound he's had to his career. I mean, I can go through a laundry list of drivers that now can compete, and I was very excited to see how we matched up with the USAC National guys.
The next, you're going to be at Double X Speedway a week from Sunday for the Midwest Wingless Racing Association event. It's good to see Double X Speedway get back open again. They were shut down all of last year.
Yes, we are very pumped up to be going into Double X for the first time. You know, we went to Nevada a couple weeks ago for the first time. Now, Raul has us in at Double X a week from Sunday. We're very fired up to be there over the Memorial Day weekend. That should be a great show. Once again, pretty much everybody I just talked about has said they will be there that night. So I think we'll once again have around 30 cars at Double X next Sunday, well, a week from Sunday. And we're very excited to put Double X on the MWRA schedule.
Just got this word in, got another rain out. Lucas Oil late models at 34 Raceway rained out tonight, so no late models at 34 Raceway tonight. We see the Knoxville is still on. We haven't gotten any other notices. I-35 is the one that we've heard that has been rained out, so we'll try to keep you up to date on what's going on. It was raining when I stepped out of the house this morning, so hopefully Memorial Weekend will be a bright, sunny weekend. We deserve it.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of races scheduled. Of course, we know what the Memorial Day weekend means. You brought up the Indianapolis 500. That's the first thing everybody thinks of when they think of Memorial Day racing or that weekend. And, of course, the big Coca-Cola 600. But over the years, we've had many great sprint car and midget races as well as late model and modified shows over the weekend.
I want to get your thoughts about what we witnessed last night. What a strange night for, not a good night for race-long leaders. We saw Sheldon Haudenschild coming down for the white flag, have to spin his car to avoid a lap car on the racetrack. He didn't get it pulled off. We saw Seth Bergman get into a slowed car on the racetrack after he led the whole race and got upside down. Not a good night for race-long leaders last night.
No, it really wasn't. Boy, that Seth Bergman deal really caught me offhand because, I'm following more than one race and I'm looking up and he's flipping. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened there? And of course, you were talking about Little Hod. That was very unfortunate as well. When you get into traffic, of course, and races go on, if you don't have just clear ground in front of you, it's the old adage, but it's so true. No race literally is over, Kirk, until it is over. And those were the best example of that. Tyler Courtney, actually, in his second race win in a row at the brand new Circle City, he had to fight back after Rico passed him on the outside to retake the lead. But even there, that track is so small and so tight. You know, I never took for granted that Tyler was going to win that race until the checkered flag, of course, flew. And then Buddy Kofoid is the best example of also it's never over till it's over. That guy is uber talented. And what he did, again, last night, I realized that was a Power I race. It wasn't a USAC race. You didn't have all the heavy hitters there.
He passed everybody.
But he passed everybody. I mean, when you pass 22 cars to win on a tight short track like Charleston, what he did, that is still phenomenal. That guy has so much talent, and now it seems that this year that him and Keith Coons and that race team, they are gelling the way Keith has with other drivers in the past, drivers that include Kyle Larson and Rico and Christopher Bell, among others. And I feel that right now. I mean, we've got some veterans. Of course, nothing against anybody, but Tyler Courtney going to wing sprint cars, of course, that was a big deal to fellow USAC midget competitors because obviously Tyler Courtney, what he'd been doing in the midget ranks was phenomenal with Kloss and Marshall. But you still have several great cars in there, including the defending champion, Chris Windham. Right now, Buddy Kofoid is leading the point standings over Wyndham. It's still going to be a great season for them. Kirk, I'm still upset that we didn't get Sweet Springs in last week.
Yeah, boy.
And then Lakeside, of course, got rained out.
Yeah, so, what a bummer. Oh, my. Well, it'll pay off sometime. I always believe that. You know, we get better weather and we'll get these races in at some point. But, yeah, it was very disappointing not to get Sweet Springs in last week. They moved that as part of the John Hink Championship in July, and then the 2 nights at Lakeside. I don't know when that can ever be made up right now. I don't know. The tough to make those races up with the schedule the way it is.
Yeah, Sweet Springs, of course. It'll come back. It'll only be a one-day show now, though I'm glad they're still having the Hink. And, yeah, Lakeside, 2-day show. I got to believe if it is back on the schedule, it'll also be, knocked down to a one-day show because, like you said, they book these schedules in advance, and USAC is a little different than other clubs because they really want all their top hot dogs racing in midget, sprint, and Silver Crown. So they try not to butt up against each other, so they can cross over and race in the different series within USAC. So, if you start looking at their schedule and breaking it down, they make it so Chris Windham, for instance, can race and contend for all 3 championships.
Hey, we were talking about Tyler Courtney and that battle that he had with Rico last night. That was some pretty good action out there. But how about Hunter Schurenberg? How about he had a pretty good night last night?
Well, Hunter Schurenberg, he is doing a great job in the 55 car. He got him another podium finish. Kirk, he's that close to winning some big all-star races. He's really doing a great job in that car. Of course, he's the brother-in-law of Clinton Boyles, and he's kind of taken him under his wing as well when it comes to wing racing. Obviously, Clinton's already established himself as a non-wing racer of note, but we've got Clinton running there. And actually, because Lakeside rained out, there were several USAC regulars that were competing in that all-star race, and they put on the wing. The Hoffman 69, for instance, a lot of times Brady runs with the wing, but it's usually in his own car number 99 or other cars. But the last 2 nights at Circle City, he raced the Hoffman car once Lakeside, was canceled.
Your thoughts about this new Circle City Raceway? It's a small racetrack, isn't it?
Yeah, it is small, but I really enjoyed it. I like the TQs on it.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart has taken over. Of course, the TQs are very dear to Tony because that was the direct link to him and then racing in USAC. But he's taken over that series. Heck, they had 25 TQs. They had a great field of sprint cars. And I do really like that track. They're going to have a huge midget race there coming up. I think full-size midgets are also going to be outstanding at that facility. Really, Kirk, you can never have enough great racetracks because, as we know, as long as we've been around racing, is that tracks do close. We've lost some of our favorite tracks over the years. So when we can have this new I-70 come to life, or we can have a Circle City, I don't see it as anything but positive for the sport of auto racing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get I-70 Speedway and the new I-70 Motorsports Park, Circle City Raceway. We got a new track in Tulsa coming up. So, it's hard to believe that we're getting some new facilities on board here, but these are great racetracks that we're seeing debuted here in 2021.
Yeah, and when you figure that last year we had to have so many races canceled because of the pandemic and situations involved with that, to have these tracks on board this year, it's really rejuvenating racing. And these tracks we're talking about, if you're an open wheel fan, you got to like this, because Tulsa is going to have several open wheel shows on their agenda, as well as Circle City and I-70. So this is great news for open wheel racing, and of course, 2 of those tracks are in our area.
Let's talk about some of the other racing that has gone on. Last night, the POWRi War non-wing sprints were at Charleston, Illinois last night, and Mario Klauser comes through with the feature victory. Big win for him.
Mario Klauser, the first time I ever saw him was in the USAC Midget ranks, and I believe he was Rookie of the Year with the USAC Midgets. Then, of course, there was a time period where he was kind of dormant. He wasn't really racing. And then he came back to the sprint car ranks, and initially he was doing good, but he wasn't outstanding to begin with. But that program that he has really jumped up a couple notches. We saw it last year at the Hawkett Memorial. He was pretty much dominating that thing. And then, of course, he drilled the wall, if you remember, on Saturday night. It led to him not winning. But here again this year, we're looking at what he's doing. He looks really good, Kirk.
Garrett Aiken was second ahead of Shane Cottle. Wesley Smith he started third, ends up fourth. Zach Dahm started eighth, ended up fifth last night. They'll do it again tonight out at Charleston, Illinois. And pretty good racing action last night. But watching Buddy Kofoid in that midget race last night, I'll tell you what, outside of Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, who drives midget, you'd have to say Buddy Kofoid, best midget driver in the country right now.
Well, he's leading the USAC points, and let's face it, the only reason he's not leading POWRi is he missed a couple of features. And that takes nothing away from Newman, because he's a great driver. But Buddy Kofoid, I think he's participated in 5 POWRi National Midget races, and he may have won all 5, actually, because I think they've ran about 7 events. So that talks about that. Like I say, he's not the point leader there, but he's not racing all the races. In USAC Midgets, he is running the full schedule. He is the point leader over Chris Wyndham. Yeah, I'd have to say right now, and remember our great buddy, Brian Kopinski, Mr. Midget himself.
Yeah, we miss him.
Always had the National Midget Driver of the Year, and right now that definitely has to be Buddy Kofoid.
Joe B. Miller had a good night last night. He finished fourth in the midget race, then won that micro feature last night. Good night for Joe B.
Yeah, and I think he beat Frank Galusha, right?
Yeah.
The rivalry those two guys have is outstanding. Anytime I can see those guys go head-to-head, whether it's like at Sweet Springs or at a POWRi race, and that's 600 series, those guys go after it hard. But Joe B. also very good in sprint cars and midgets. I just love to see Joe B. Miller race anything, to be real honest.
Yeah, Joe B. Miller, Frank Galusha, Dazen Persley finished in third, Lane Warner, and Trevin Littleton. So, you had Persley, Galusha, Joe B going out. I mean, that was a great race in itself. The winged microcars last night.
Well, over the years, this the 600 micro series has become big time racing, Kirk. Not only has it developed many drivers that have gone on to sprints and midgets, but also just in its own right, some of the races that are conducted for that series, whether winged or non-wing, are phenomenal. I mean, some of those races have paid $20,000 to win, Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Jade Abedisian winning all that money at Sweet Springs. Unfortunately, she had ended up with kind of a bad night last night, but I'm thinking about her winning that all that money at Sweet Springs last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of those shows at Sweet Springs, of course, we're talking about the Hink Memorial for midgets, but then you also have the Show Me race at Sweet Springs and other shows where we've had as many as 150 micros there, both winged and non-winged. The Outlaw, the A-Class. Wow, I've seen some really good racing, and then I've seen what some of those drivers have done later on as they've moved up the ranks as well. And some of them, it's still a big deal when a lot of these people will come back and race events like the Shootout or the big races at Sweet Springs. I mean, look at guys like Brady Bacon. As decorated as he is, Kirk, he likes to run that Shootout, and he's done it almost every year.
Next weekend, not only the Indianapolis 500, but USAC takes a big weekend around Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Raceway Park and some of the other venues around Indianapolis. What about the open wheel racing that goes along with the Indy 500 in the Indy area next weekend? Your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the things I was going to bring up, too. So we lost Lakeside, but we do have the big Holman Classic, I believe is what they're calling it, at Terre Haute that they've ran for several years. And then that's followed up at Terre Haute by the first Silver Crown race of the year. They keep adding drivers to that entry list. I'm excited to see who still might be added to that. I'm expecting around 40 cars for the big race at Terre Haute. We know, of course, now that after I think they put the limestone down at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, it unfortunately is done. But with that being said, we still have some huge races taking place in the Silver Crown Series, starting with the big race at Terre Haute. Then they're going to race on the pavement at Lucas Oil, the IRP version, Indianapolis Raceway Park. And then, of course, we've got the Little 500. So many big races next week.
What about the Indy 500? How's qualifying going to? What do you expect this weekend in qualifying and for next weekend's the 105th running next Sunday?
I'm not sure. Indy 500 is a very interesting thing. I mean, some guys are very fast in time trials, but it doesn't necessarily correlate to running the 500 miles. A favorite of mine, of course, has been from the open wheel ranks, Ed Carpenter, and he seems to have always qualified well, but then different issues have befallen him in the big race.
He did good in that road race last week. Ed Carpenter Racing did very well there.
Yes. Well, they got a great program. It seems to me it's always been more about luck. You talked about Kyle Larson's lack or not having luck at the end of some of these NASCAR races, leading to all these second-place finishes. I think you said 25 of them, which is a phenomenal number against 7 wins. But in IndyCar racing, too, the pit stops are so very important. And also, sometimes the timing of a pit stop, if you get caught out on a yellow. But truly in the last decade or so, we've seen several good races at the 500 as they've advanced those packages. The cars seem to have handled better in packs, and that has led to a lot of slingshot passing and excitement. Of course, drivers like Scott Dixon, who really has become the modern-day A.J. Foyt to that series. What a job he's done.
233 miles an hour yesterday for Scott Dixon, going for his second Indy 500 win. So as far as speed is concerned, he had the fastest yesterday. Alexander Rossi, the total fast guy. So we'll see what happens. Scott Dixon still getting it done.
He is, and I like Alexander Rossi. He was another one last year that seemed to have bad luck at a bad time. He came on the scene very quickly when he won his first Indy 500 and impressed a lot of people. He's still very impressive. But Scott Dixon, Ganassi, maybe they've never been to the level people would expect from them in NASCAR, but in IndyCar, Kirk, we know that's a whole nother story.
Qualify. I do like the way they qualify these cars now. Everybody's going to take the 4-lap average, but the fast. What is it? The Fast 9 is what they.
Right. They go into that. They reshuffle the deck. Then they come out and challenge each other. Well, they had to do something, Kirk. Because here's the deal. Back in the days when we were growing up, and basically for many years, there were a minimum of 50 cars entered in the 500, which means there was a true bubble day, there was true drama. But anymore, the last several years, that's been narrowed to, 33 to 35 cars at the most. So you don't see that drama anymore. And remember back in the day what a big thing that was, that final day.
Bump day, they call it, or something, whatever they called it. Yeah.
Right. And so now coming up with this new format, I think has added a new wrinkle that has brought back excitement to that situation. So it's, and like you said, it has made it more enjoyable. I think the IndyCar racing, the sad thing for me about it is the lack of oval races this year overall.
Yeah.
But of course, I love the Indy 500. I think all of us do that grew up with it. Do we wish that, like when we were kids, that there were more drivers that we got to watch, in short track racing? Of course we do. It was one of the nice things about when the IRL started is that it gave guys like Tony Stewart, Billy Boat, Donnie Beechler, guys that we'd seen at the Chili Bowl and races like that, gave them a chance to race on a big-time stage at Indy. And, of course, over time, once the two groups merged again, CART and the IRL, it once again became about big money and things like that, and you had to bring sponsorship dollars. We were excited just to have somebody like Brian Clausen in the field. But it still doesn't mean the racing's not exciting.
Hey, who gives the command to start engines now that Roger Penske owns the track? Does he do that himself now? Or does somebody else do that?
Question. What did they do last year? I think it was the captain, because over time, the Holman family, obviously, when that tradition started, it was Tony Holman who had bought the track after World War II.
I can't remember. Did he do it last August? Did he give the command last August? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
He owned the track.
I remember the succession because Mary Holman then took the place of, and then, and Tony George did for a while. Yeah, that's a good question. I would believe it should, if it's not the captain, it should be the captain. I think that's sometimes where we show our age, because I always loved when Jim Neighbors sang "Back Home Again, Man, Indiana."
Oh, he was great.
He's not doing that anymore.
I do like the new guy who sings it now. He does a good job.
Yeah, isn't he from the Indianapolis area? I think he might be native to that state, the guy that's done that the last few years. He does do a really good job singing it.
That back home again in Indiana just sends chills up my spine every time.
Oh, I love it. It gets me excited and pumped every year. And then when they release the balloons and the gentlemen's, there are so many traditions about Indy that have gone on. The drinking of the milk, you name it, playing the Scottish bagpipes, which that's gone on for decades, bringing that car into Victory Circle. And, of course, now they hoist it up above so everybody can see it. So many great traditions at Indy, and to me it's still a very big event.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that event is much bigger than the rest of the season, I would say, for the circuit.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, but there's nothing that matches the Indy 500 and pre-race pageantry, and it still does it for me. It still does.
The Purdue Marching Band, I mean,
Yeah.
You think about all the traditions associated with it, and I'm sorry, but anytime you start 33 cars, 3 abreast, and they're coming down for that green flag, Kurt, that does make your, I don't know, have you ever been there? I've been there.
I've been there I've been there twice. Been to the Indy 500 twice.
And then when they're coming down the straightaway and the sound reverberates off the covered grandstand, and they're screaming down that front straightaway, and then it's almost like an optical illusion. When they turn left into that first turn, you think they're all going to hit the wall, don't you? If you're down anywhere close to that area and you're watching them, and then somehow they're turning the way the track is shaped, it is a hair-raising experience. And if somebody hasn't done it, I still think it should be on their bucket list, regardless of your feelings about, the overall Indy circuit or however you feel about things that have transpired over the years. Still, and going to the museum, Kurt, it's amazing the displays they have in that museum. Starting with the Marmon Wasp. I could stay in that museum for days, to be real honest, Kurt.
No doubt about it. I'm with you on that. You and me will have to make a trip there together. We'll just hang out for hours.
That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And it's cool during the month of May because still the old timers shows up, or they show up, and it's too bad that we lost Bobby Unser before this year's 500. What a great champion he was. But we still have guys like Andretti and Foyt and Al Unser Sr. and Jr., and so many great champions that still come to Indy and are a part of the great tradition.
The thing I loved about Bobby Unser, he was so outspoken, and he just said what's on his mind. And not only that, he came to the Chili Bowl most every year. That's what I loved about Bobby Unser.
He did, and remember a few years ago, the Wilkie family, they did the tribute car because they owned the 1968 the number 3 car, remember, that won the Indy 500, so they did their midget. I think maybe Jerry Coons drove it that year, and Bobby Unser, of course, was very much a part of that and posed for pictures and was around that and really enjoyed the fact that they did that tribute car honoring his 1968 Indy win. I think that was in 2018, actually, so it would have been the anniversary of him winning that first 500 for the Wilkie family. But yeah, seeing him there, seeing Andretti at the Chili Bowl, gentlemen of that stature, always exciting.
That 68 race really sticks out in my mind that Bobby Unser won. I remember as a kid, of course, back then, the only way you followed the race, listened to it on the radio. Sid Collins and all that crew. I mean, listening to that race on Memorial Weekend Sunday was just unbelievable. And I remember Bobby Unser winning that race.
The way they coordinated that thing, Kurt. Yeah. I mean, what did they have, like at least 10 different announcers around the race course?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
And listening to it was amazing, the setup and how they would go from one to the other. And, of course, Sid Collins, before Paul Page took over, was the lead announcer. It was always great to hear his voice and commentary. And then they would always bring back former racers of Indy to also be commentators. And it was always exciting. And
the greatest spectacle in racing, he would say.
Exactly.
It was
great. They always had that, and they remember the time trials were always on the radio as well. They had the whole event on the radio, and then, of course, the broadcast for television on ABC was tape delayed because if you wanted to see it live and not be at Indy, you had to watch a simulcast typically from a local movie theater. I remember that 68 race, of course, featured the turbines. And once again, they were foiled. Joe Leonard, I'm trying to think what part broke on that car. But when it did, then, of course, Bobby Unser took the win. But the turbines were interesting. So many different, unique cars.
And was that Andy Granatelli's car? Or was that?
Yes. He owned those. Well, you know, the first turbine of note was 67, of course, and that's where Parnelli Jones, and he flat out told people later, it's true, I sandbagged. He sandbagged all through the month of May with that car and then qualified it in the second row and they never really showed their cards because I think they were afraid that it would either get banned or restricted or something. And then on race day, he took off and completely dominated that race. I believe the only car on the lead lap with him towards the end of the race was A.J. Foyt, who ended up winning it when Jones broke. And then Foyt won his third 500. But that was the first time, you know, they had the turbine there where it was highly successful. And then the next year, I believe they got involved with Colin Chapman then from England. And they had a 3-car race team. Joe Leonard, Art Pollard, and Graham Hill, I believe, were the 3 drivers. They had those wedge-shaped rear-engine turbines. And once again, they were very fast and successful until it was time to actually go for 500 miles. And then that didn't happen. And Bobby Unser, I believe, driving, I think it was a car built by Dan Gurney. I believe it was one of those Eagles that he won in that time. And I remember Dan Gurney was second. Mel Kenyon, the great midget champion, finished third in 68. But, yeah, those were exciting times at Indy. Bobby Unser was such a great champion. And
we all remember that 81 race that was so controversial, you know, with Mario and, you know, how that turned out. It took us months before we finally got a settlement on that.
Oh, yeah, that took they had to go to court, didn't they?
Yeah.
I believe before they finally decided, you know, who officially had won that based on supposedly, I guess, passing under the yellow and other things. And I would say next to, if you remember this race, at Texas when Foyt's car won with Billy Boat.
Yeah.
But had messed up the timing and scoring, and actually it was Ari Leyendyke. That's probably the only race in IndyCar history that had more controversy than the Indy 500 you're talking about.
Is that where AJ slapped Ari Leyendyke in Victory Lane? Yeah.
In Victory Lane with all the cameras.
We'll never forget that.
And whacked him out of the way.
You know, the biggest thing I always remember AJ, though, is throwing that laptop computer away. You know, grabbing that laptop
when Kenny
computer.
Kenny Brack was driving for him,
And then AJ taking the ball-peen hammer, crawling out of the car and taking the ball-peen hammer to the rear end or something on it.
And I believe that after he did that, Chris Economaki was right there to talk to him. And probably only Chris Economaki could get away with talking to him after that, because obviously if Foyt took a ball-peen hammer to a $100,000 car, that he was not in a good mood about the situation. I think, and those kind of things, I believe, endeared people to Foyt over the years because it showed an everyman quality about him. And as you stated, unfortunately, I mean, corporate sponsorship is very big and important to racing, but unfortunately, it's also kind of muted racers, teams from showing true emotion sometimes, or if they do, it's not in that fashion. But Foyt, you know, over the years, like Unser, was never afraid to speak his mind and was never afraid to show real emotion and show just how much racing at Indy meant to him, whether it was up in the box or it was in the car or it was in the pits. I mean, Foyt is a fierce competitor and has never not displayed exactly how he felt at a given time.
Oh, boy, you got that right. Got to run, Ray. Thanks a lot for spending time with us. It's been fun.
All right, sir. Have a great day, and we'll catch some racing again tonight, wherever it happens to take place.
We'll be watching it. Unfortunately, not live at Lakeside. That's the bad part. You know what, Ray? I had a chance. I could have gone and been there tonight if they'd had it, because this other live event that we had scheduled tonight was rained out. I could have. I had an opportunity to be there in person tonight, but it just wasn't to be. So what are you going to do?
I can tell your disappointment. Like I say, we were excited when we started polling drivers who were going to come, and we saw the kind of field we were going to have out there. We were like, this is going to be a huge, impactful show.
Oh, well, you know, that's all you can do. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Have a great day, sir.
You bet. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
There he is, Ray Cunningham, joining us, talking all things open wheel racing. And we got a lot of late model racing to talk about, including next weekend. The Show Me 100 returns to Memorial Weekend for the first time in 3 years. Lucas Oil Speedway is all set for a big weekend, beginning on Thursday night with the Cowboy Classic in honor of Cowboy Chancellor, who his resting place is right near Lucas Oil Speedway. He and his wife Harriet ran the Lucas Oil MLRA for many years. Harriet's still with us, but we honor Cowboy on Thursday night. And then Friday and Saturday night, the Don and Billy Gibson event on Friday night. Of course, Don and Billy, they were the original founders of the Show Me 100 at West Plains Motor Speedway. Was there for many years, up through 2009, from 93 to 2009. They hosted the Show Me 100 at West Plains Motor Speedway. Then it switched to Lucas Oil Speedway in 2010. So we're looking forward to that big event next weekend. Billy Rock is joining us right now. He is the voice of the Lucas Oil MLRA, which was in action for one night last weekend. They had a big weekend up in Iowa here a few weeks back, and they'll be in action down at Lucas Oil Speedway this next weekend. Billy, how you doing?
Doing good. Just trying to shake this rain bug that
oh my goodness
this weekend, and let's get it out of the way this weekend so we can have some fun next weekend, I guess, is the mentality right now.
Yeah, we'll see the Lucas Oil late models at 34 Raceway has been postponed due to rain. What's it like at Adams County Speedway up in Corning?
It's wet enough that we pulled the plug last night. So
you did. Last night.
I think about 5 inches since last Saturday night.
Oh, my gosh.
Throughout the week, and I think we're all depressed. We're ready to see some sunshine. We're kind of like you guys. We've seen a little bit yesterday as a teaser, but I'm watching it rain out the window again right now. So
and Adams County's had a history of flooding, too. Got a river nearby. Is it in danger of flooding the grounds up there?
I don't think so. I did go across the Nottoway last night, and it definitely was almost bank full. But I think right now we're probably okay with no flooding issues. But, it's just the infield. You can't get guys in, can't get it out. And we've had such a good track this year that you don't want to put yourself in the situation that unfortunately the people at 300 were in last night of having rutted up track, because you know how long it takes to get something back after something like that happens. It's not a simple 1 week fix usually.
You had a big late model show up there last Saturday night up at Adams County Speedway, didn't you?
Yep, I believe we had 29 cars up there last weekend. Had the SLMR guys in town and had a pretty good show with that. Tad Pospisil just a dominating force in that series right now, and was able to pick up the $3,000 win yet again.
You know, last night was a night where race-long leaders just couldn't quite make it to the end. We talked about two of them in the sprint car ranks, but we saw a late model driver, Kyle Bronson, had 2 laps to go to pull that off last night, but he just couldn't quite get there, had a tire go down.
It's just one of those things. That's why we race the 50 laps or the 40 or whatever it may be, because you never know what's going to happen in those situations. And, we had the same situation last week, Kirk, over at Davenport. It didn't affect our leader. Ricky Thornton Jr. ended up picking up his first MLRA win last week, but I think we had 2, if not 3 guys inside the top 5 that had tire issues in that feature event. And just when you get on a good roll and start working your way up through the front, and lady luck hits you, whether you hit something on the track like Kyle did, or cut a tire down, or whether it's an abrasive track and it turns into tire management. That's why we as race fans go to these races, because you absolutely never know what's going to happen. And, you see some of these guys come from the back and you wonder, how did they get there? Well, they're just fighting their time and had some patience, and that's why we like to watch these races. At least that's the way I do.
Last night was not a factor of tires so much. It's just a rough racetrack. It folded up a lot of noses up at the Farley Speedway last night.
Yeah, it definitely looked like one of those early spring deals. Hats off to those guys. It's one of those danged if you do, danged if you don't situations of, you've had the rain. Should you pull the plug or do you try and put on the race? And it's not a situation anybody wants to be in, and it's a tough decision as a racetrack or the series to make that call on what to do. And when you make the effort and you get the people there, you've obviously got to do it. But we've also got to think of these drivers, because I know they don't want to tear up their equipment. I know I've seen some of the guys before Burlington canceled tonight were already decided that, hey, we had enough last night. We need to go get the cars fixed and be ready to go for the Show Me 100 next weekend. So I'd say some of these guys definitely got some work to do over these next few days. But, yeah, definitely an exciting race last night of you didn't know what was going to happen from lap to lap there at the 300 Raceway.
Took a lot of your MLRA regulars to fill out the field last night. You had several of them up there at Farley.
Yeah, definitely had some up there. I see Chad Simpson had a top 5 run. Looks like maybe there were some disqualifications on some guys coming light across the scales. They took a few out. But, yeah, it's always good to see your local guys come in there and have that good run with that National Touring Series. It was a little interesting last night. They had a decent car count over there at 300, but then you look at the Mars Series over in Illinois, and I think they had 15 late models for 5,000 to win. So,
oh my goodness!
I think a lot of guys probably went up there and supported the Lucas show last night, which is great to see. But it's just when you get all these series, conflicting and fighting for car count. I mean, it just kind of depends on where the money's at and where the guys want to go, and it's a scheduling nightmare for all these series directors. I admire them for trying to do the best they can. I mean, you even look last week, and we had 33 cars at Davenport on Friday night, and it was a 3,000 to win event. And over in Illinois, 2 hours away, they were paying, I believe, 10,000 to win, and they had less cars than we did. So it's kind of an ironic thing. But as far as the MLRA side of it, man, we have had some phenomenal car counts this year, just very consistent right there in the mid-30s, and just tickled with the car count and support that we've been getting from the drivers throughout the area.
These high fuel prices ain't helping either. But I think one thing that lends in the MLRA favor, you pay out a pretty good booty at the end of the year. There's some pretty good contingencies and other goodies there for those who run the whole season.
Yeah, definitely. $15,000 to win championship is definitely pretty enticing. It's pretty unmatched in a lot of these regional series, and one of the nice things about the MLRA is that our guys that support us and stay in the top 10 in points, they get fuel money at every event that they show up at. That's not something that a lot of series are able to do, but thanks to Lucas Oil Products and everybody, we're able to support those guys that support the series. And, you look at your rookie battle, and you got to admire everything that Sunoco Race Fuels does for us, too, with our presenting sponsor for our Rookie of the Year award. I think we've got 4 guys vowing for that this year, and every single year you've got somebody that is just looking for a launching pad, to their career, and it seems like we get a good contingent of rookies every single season, and this year is no different. We've got 4 guys, and we've got 3 of them that have already won Rookie of the Race award, so it's a very consistent and deep pool, and at the end of the year, they've got a nice payday coming outside of their point check. They've got a nice payday coming just from Sunoco for the Rookie Championship.
All right, let's talk about what's going on down at Lucas Oil Speedway next weekend. Again, it's hard to believe it's been 3 years since we've seen this event on Memorial Weekend. 2 years ago, we had that bad storm come in there. And, of course, last year, the pandemic. But it all starts on Thursday night with the big Cowboy event, Cowboy Classic.
Yeah, I hate to jinx it, but, you hope this is the year we return to normalcy. And we can actually run the full 3-day Show Me 100. I think in my 4 years with the MLRA, maybe 1, maybe 2 years, I guess I've actually seen the full event, and looking forward to getting back down there. So, yeah, Thursday night's going to fire off with a $6,000 to win Cowboy Classic. Those guys will be vying for points on Thursday night and Friday night to try and get locked into Saturday's big Show Me. Friday night will be the actual tribute to Don and Billy Gibson, like you said a little bit ago. Another $6,000 to win, full-paying late model show. And they've also got the USRA Modifieds all 3 nights. And then we'll set the stage, come in on Saturday. We'll run B features. We'll also run the Midwest Sheet Metal Showdown, I believe it is, to lock in 1 more additional driver and try and set that field for the $30,000 to win 100-lap event. Last year it was kind of awesome for the MLRA contingent to see Peyton Looney go out there and and pull off what he did. And wouldn't surprise me this year. We've seen some strong guys, whether it be Tony Jackson Jr. in his backyard or Jason Papich all the way from California. The MLRA is going to be well represented down there, and who knows? Looking forward to seeing if maybe one of those guys can shock the world yet again and go back-to-back for the MLRA series.
That's got to be one of the biggest shockers in the last decade, what Peyton Looney was able to pull off down there last year. He's still walking on cloud nine, isn't he?
I think so, and everything I'm seeing on social media, I haven't spoke to Peyton, but obviously he has not raced yet this year. I think they've been maybe getting some motor things around, and, you see a lot of these guys, the kids are getting to the point where they're starting activities, and it's hard to follow a series like this when you're not doing it for a living and be competitive when you still want to dedicate time to your family and things at home. And all things I'm seeing is that we may see Peyton Looney coming back out this weekend. And, I think obviously not having raced this year, it'll be really unthinkable to see him do that. But, hey, when you've got the car that did it a year ago in as dominating fashion as he did, anything can happen. I think we've seen that at the Show Me 100, especially you got 100 laps. It's kind of like we talked about earlier. Anything can happen. You can have that flat tire with 3 to go and lead the whole 97 laps and lose it. So anything can happen on that. One thing I'm kind of interested to see is what happens with some of the breaking news that came out just yesterday with Scott Bloomquist and Kyle Strickler.
How about that? Kyle Strickler, Team Zero now. Yeah.
Yeah, runner-up a year ago, and who won the actual last Show Me 100 in 2018? Scott Bloomquist. So there's some chemistry, there's some things there, and I don't know what's going to happen if they're going to be there, but that'll be an interesting combination to possibly see down at Wheatland next weekend.
Major big-time late model news. Yep, for sure.
Yep,
hey,
yes.
What about Tony Jackson Jr.? Is he, he's leading the points right now for the Lucas Oil MLRA. He's had some pretty good runs at Lucas Oil Speedway. Would he be the next big guy to shock the world?
I wouldn't call shock the world because, Tony started out his year running with these national touring series, and glad to have him back with the MLRA series. He's got a nice 75-point cushion. He's picked up one win, and I think he's got, out of 6 races, I think 4 of them have been inside the top 5. He has been very dominant, very consistent all season, and one of the things that sticks out about Tony is heading into last weekend, he was actually leading the series hard charger points. So he had his struggles in qualifying, but come A feature time, Tony always finds his way to the front of the pack. So another guy that is very capable of winning that thing next weekend from just down the road, Lebanon, Missouri. It wouldn't shock me one bit to see Tony be one of those guys contending next weekend. I know last year, I think he had a rough weekend at the Show Me with some motor issues and things like that. But this year, I think those guys have got their ducks in a row, and he's going to be a guy to keep an eye on because, yes, he has won some races with the MLRA series down there in the past, and so he knows his way around that racetrack.
Hey, getting back to last weekend at Davenport Speedway, did you run on the smaller racetrack, or do they even still run at all on that half mile at Davenport?
This is the first year that both of our events were on the quarter. Usually we'll run the first one on the half, the second on the quarter, but this year everything was on the quarter. The half is obviously still there. It's used more as an entry and an exit off the speedway as a staging area in turn 3 and 4, and that's how you would get off the track in 3 and 4, I should say. But yeah, both events were on the quarter mile. I think that was kind of to the delight of all the drivers and everybody. It's these half mile tracks are just not really popular in the late model world anymore.
No.
Technology's changed a lot. These guys are going so fast. You're pushing it so much, and you just don't see much rave about the half mile racetracks anymore unless your name's Eldora or Knoxville. So both of them were on the quarter, and our first race that we had over there with Billy Moyer Sr. winning that race over Jason Papich was honestly one of the best races I've probably ever seen, with literally 2 guys side by side every time at the line. It just kind of depends on where your scoring loop is at as to who is leading at the line over there. So it's definitely a good little place to race, but yeah, back on the quarter for both of those events.
You were supposed to be on a half mile at West Liberty last weekend, but that got called off. Is that still a big half mile racetrack up there?
That is a monster. It just feels so big. I'm used to the half mile Adams County Speedway,
right?
And that track to me seems small. Maybe it's because I'm used to being up on the grandstand side, but when you stand in the infield and announce a race at West Liberty Raceway, it just turn number 3 looks like it is miles and miles away from you. So it is a monster flat half mile, and I don't know if there's any chance of getting that event rescheduled this year. I know there was some talk of it. I think the Fair Board is pretty adamant up there that they want to get that show put in. It's just seeing if you can find a slot in the schedule to try and work it back in. Don't have a whole lot more events going on up in eastern Iowa. We do go back to Makokata here in a few weeks for a big 3-day swing, so we'll just have to see if the gang can find a slot in the schedule that makes sense to get us back in there or not.
Just kind of wrap up the late model world of Outlaw late models at Port Royal Speedway, big half-mile racetrack this weekend out in Pennsylvania. Last night it was Smokey Madden coming through with the big victory at Pennsylvania Port Royal Speedway. Your thoughts about Smokey Madden and Brandon Shepard and some of these other big late model stars? Brandon Overton had a run at Madden last night, just couldn't quite get around him. Shepard was third. Rick Eckert and Tyler Bruning rounded out the top 5. Bruning used to run that SLMR circuit. Now he's running with the big boys. Got a 5th place finish last night out at Port Royal.
Well, if memory serves me right, Tyler also had a good run last year. I think it was on night 2 of the show, the actual Diamond Night. He had a good run down there.
Yeah.
Rick Eckert is another guy that I was actually looking through some numbers this morning. He's the guy that finished 4th and 6th last year at Wheatland. So another guy is going to be capable next week. But, yeah, Madden is always a consistent guy, and Overton always seems to shine when the money's there. I think he picked up a big one there a week or so ago, and definitely high-caliber guys everywhere. It's just you got these 2 large series out there trying to vie for drivers, and whether there's any more series out there to pop up is kind of in the rumors or on the radar. We'll have to see, but it's always enticing to see those guys out on the East Coast in the world of Outlaws. You get guys like Ryan Gustin that's fall in that series that can drop in and run with the MLRA series from time to time, just like we had Ricky Thornton last week. It makes our drivers, when any of these guys drop in, it makes your MLRA drivers that much better. I mean, obviously, anytime you can run against stiffer competition as a driver, it's only going to make you better. You might not win the race, but it's always going to make you better. And that's how these guys have gotten to where they're at. They didn't just step in and become instant sensations. Most of them didn't. But anytime you can run against that kind of competition, it makes everybody a little bit better.
Ryan Gustin ended up with a top 10 finish last night, ends up in 8th after starting 11th. So pretty good run for him out there on that big racetrack out in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Ricky Weiss, I thought maybe was poised for a pretty good run last night. Somehow he slipped back to 7th, but I thought maybe he had something there at the end, but not quite so. So pretty good at late model action last night, and boy, more of the same next weekend. Billy, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it and can't wait to see what happens next weekend. We just got to get Mother Nature to cooperate. That's all we got to do.
Well, fortunately for us, Kirk, we've got the best pit location in all of dirt track racing next weekend, so we just got to have a nice dry time between about 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock each night, and we'll get this thing in and see who walks away with the $30,000 check come next Saturday night.
Keep them tornadoes out of Hickory County. That's all we got.
Yeah.
That's all we ask, right?
Yep.
All right, Billy, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Good work.
All right, thanks, Kirk.
Hey, you bet. Take care. Billy Rock, the voice of the Lucas Oil MLRA, and he'll be down at Lucas Oil Speedway next weekend as action will commence on Thursday night. I'm thinking about maybe taking a run down there.
Is that right?
Thursday night. I got to work on Friday and Saturday nights around here. So
we can.
And you know what? Again, since we didn't have any live events, our live event that we had one live event scheduled tonight at I-30 was going to be called off. That would have freed me up to go to the racetrack tonight, Tom.
Yep. Can do it. Nothing.
I don't know.
You'd have to go real far to find a race event.
If CMS runs tonight, maybe I'll go down there.
Out there. I looked.
I don't see that they've called off yet.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I haven't seen anybody else post that who was and who wasn't running in this. But if indication of what's been going on out there, it's just wet. And
is it still raining?
No, it's not raining right now. It's just.
Is the sun coming out?
No, I didn't see no sun.
We can't tell here.
Yeah, we're in a non-window studio, but it's just gloomy. I could see why people in Seattle are just gloomy all the time, Kirk, because we need some vitamin D here in Kansas City.
We need sunshine.
I don't know how much longer I can go without vitamin D. We might actually have to pack up the car and go somewhere to search out the sun, because there's none to be found around. And they're talking about maybe getting really hot next week too. So we'll probably go right from cold, cool, rainy to humid.
It went from cool to hot.
And all this water, and there's going to just be so much humid You'll just walk around just thinking somebody turned the humidity on to 100. I don't know.
That's the way it's going to work, isn't it?
This is just going to be one of those years.
We've
where
seen that before.
The humidity can really ruin a day. I can handle heat, man. It's the humidity can really whoop you. I was in Florida one year, Kirk, in Key West in September. That's the hottest September I think I've ever been anywhere. The most humid in Key West, Florida. It just was so humid. You could just walk outside and feel the water. It just was
well, when you go to Louisiana here coming up, be prepared for sticky hot.
July in Louisiana and southwest Louisiana, about as far south you could go, and about as far west in Louisiana as you can go. It will be humid, I imagine. It won't be fun down there.
I'm kind of dragging this out a little bit, thinking maybe Scott would walk down the stairs and maybe join us for a couple of minutes.
It's already 10:08. I don't think we're going.
I don't think he's going to make it.
I don't think so, Kirk. I think we're going to be flying solo this week and let him get some sleep. Won't even probably bother him. Won't bother nobody upstairs. They
can sleep in now.
Got a whole board upstairs, so
no races to worry about tonight.
That's right. You can just watch what's on TV. So what do we have on TV, though, to watch for racing today? Do we have?
We got the Indy 500 qualifying that's going on. We've got the trucks and the Xfinity Series.
So Xfinity is racing
at COTA, at the Circuit of Americas. We got those races going on. We got a Cup practice that's happening at some point today. I'm not sure if that's on yet or not.
I told Adam, I said.
It was raining down there, as Lee Spencer reported a little bit earlier, so I don't know how that's going to go.
I told Adam, I'm looking forward to this road racing because that's just fun. Anything that's new and different is fun to me to watch, and these guys don't have a lot of experience on this. I don't care how much you get on the simulator and computer and practice that.
No.
It isn't.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be wild, and
it's going to be
these guys don't go half throttle, right? No. They don't go. There's going to be some beating and banging, sliding off tracks, missing turns.
It's going to be fun.
And like me and Adam were looking at the layout of this track is really cool. The way you got some of the cameras, so some of these angles with the cars coming down the way they have it. Some of the cars, because we were watching some of the truck practice or the qualifying they had. It was pretty neat. So I'm definitely looking forward to that today. So watch that. That'd be fun.
Yep, the Indy 500 qualifying. Of course, we got these races tonight. Outlaws are still on at Sharon Speedway tonight. Lucas Oil late model's been rained out at 34 Raceway. We still got the night 2 of the Power Eye Midgets and War Non-Wing Sprints at Charleston, Illinois tonight. Keep tabs on that. 81 Speedway is still on for tonight as far as we know. We're supposed to have a live free audio broadcast featuring the United Rebel Sprint Series tonight from 81 Speedway. I haven't got the word that that's been called off yet. So we'll keep tabs on that, but that's still on as of now. So we've got that. And I want to remind everybody that this next week we're going to be throwing this OTT new video platform up, and we're going to be full bore with it next weekend.
Next week.
And we're going to send out some emails and some promotions and putting some links on racingboys.com on how to get over to the new website to where you can log in to watch live video. There'll be a different login to watch live video now. We've transferred all the existing usernames, which is your email address, over, so all you need to do is reset your password and you're good to go. So existing $29.99 all-access members are already loaded into the new system. Use your email username that you use for the current site. For the new site, all you got to do is reset the password. Pretty simple process, and you're good to go.
All in. And Facebook.
Then when your month goes out, then you have to put in your payment information.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty simple process, and we'll send out some instructions and some information here on Monday, so everybody is aware of how this is all going to work.
You'll still be watching everything on the Facebook stream. All that will still be the same. And then if you guys have any problems, Racing Boys at Racing Boys or Kirk at Racing Boys, you can get a hold of us, and we can get you up and going on it. That'll be no problem.
Adam, Todd, thanks for both of you for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Great show.
We know how kind of Kirk Elliott pulling off the 2-hour show by himself. We used to do that every Friday and Saturday night, Kirk, and now just a one day a week, and you're able to do it good today. So Ray wanted to give you a compliment too, because he
Yeah.
knows how hard that is to pull off a whole 2-hour
Well, Ray
broadcast.
made it easy, too.
Like I said, when we get good guests like Ray and Lee Spencer and Billy Rock, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to push and go. It's
We didn't
ask
have
them
any
a question.
drivers on this morning, but, it's all good.
That's right. We're going to
Lots
try
to talk about.
We'll get some drivers lined up next week. Scott will be back on the show. And
Yeah, next
it'll be-
week's a big, big weekend.
So it'll be
we got a
fun.
lot of live events coming up next weekend. The schedule is up on the website right now, and we're going to be here to cover it all. It's, I think, the biggest weekend in motorsports next weekend, so we'll be right here. Thank you for tuning in. We're brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. For my partner, Scott Traylor, I'm Kirk Elliott. We'll do it again next Saturday morning here on Track Talk with the Racing Boys. Thanks for listening.